well, well, maybe hate is not a constructive um, emotion to feel, and if you can lessen it, you can punish it in a more objective way. I mean, as long as you have a law saying, well, if you do this, you are punished. And I suppose I don't know if you're familiar with the reasoning for rules are made to be broken.
Mm-hmm.
What do you think it means?
Um, Actually, I never understood that statement.
Well, I think it means that when there's a sign saying "Do not park outside this entrance," that the owner who puts out the sign expects people to want to park outside the entrance, which is why um, you um, the homeowner puts that sign out. And the same reasoning might apply to God, who forbade all these things like idolatry, blasphemy, you know, um, sexual immorality, murder, because I think God understands that people every now and then desire to murder, steal, um, have sex with people who are not their spouse, etc. So that is what I understand by the saying. Rules are made to be broken because the person who made those rules expects people to keep wanting to break them and is warning people not to do it. And if they do it, there will be consequences. I think that is basically the thinking behind it. I mean, I suppose that homeowner could be saying, "Don't even think of parking outside my entrance." But that would be, but then that would just attract, well, provoke people to thinking of parking outside their entrance.
I know, but if there's punishments, they're not going to do it. That's why, you need punishments. Rules are meant to be broken, but no, they're not meant to be broken if there's punishments that come with them and people are scared of it.
Exactly. Because if there's no penalty, people think, well, so what? It's just your opinion that I shouldn't bow before idols, etc. And it's like, well, even if it's wrong, what are you going to do about it? If I kill you, you'll be dead. Ha ha ha.
Hold on, hold on, I'm eating. Hold on.
I know. I'll continue. I'll continue. Um, so, so every crime, I suggest, is a kind of price for the thing of, for doing whatever it is that is a crime. So, if you park outside my entrance, I might, I might smash your windscreen or key your car. You know, I might. I mean, there is the implied threat, isn't there? Or I might, I don't know, call somebody to tow your car away, or get the traffic warden to put a ticket on your car, something like that. But there is implicit the idea of consequences, and it's just clearer if it's spelled out. Like, well, if you are thinking of doing this, bear in mind that the consequence is death by stoning, or death by beheading, or death by burning, or death by strangulation. If you're going by the punishments in the Torah. As you know, there are four methods of execution: beheading, burning, strangulation, and stoning. Perhaps the whole idea of the
Well,
Torah is to make it easy to remember.
yeah, I mean, yeah, the point is to make it that people don't want to break these rules and are scared to break them, instead of handling them with love, which just keeps it going and the problem going. And she's not even talking about this in reference to the Noahide law. She's talking about it in reference to jihadi terrorists in Palestine and stuff like that. That's what she's talking about, forgiving.
So she's pro-Israeli, and she wants the Jews to forgive them and let them do whatever they want, that kind of
Well,
thing.
I don't know if she's pro-Israeli, but I'm pretty sure she's 100% on the side of Palestine. Who knows? Maybe she just wants Israel, yeah, to stop hurting the Palestinians and stuff like that, which I understand. But, she's trying to, the Palestinians are assholes too, they're also assholes. I mean, they
Oh,
drag rape.
I don't ever involve myself in the, oh, they did this and they did that. And it's like, yeah, I already know you hate each other. So, um, it's like, well, a quarreling couple who've been, together for decades, complaining to you about their marriage and who said this first and who started it. And, it's very boring and you don't really care. Or children, wanting you to settle it, some dispute, between them and think, well, he started it first and whatever. Talking about penalties, there are certain social penalties for behaving in a, well, crazy way. Or okay, it's not actually illegal to be, domineering and rude and, stupid and inconsiderate. Um, so, um, well, okay, so maybe the penalties should be spelled out clearly to children, and I think, judging from how many adults in middle age, mature people who are misbehaving, you think, somehow these lessons were not properly learned in their childhood or youth. I suppose I'm thinking in particular of Mark, whom you spoke to yesterday on the Randos United stream.
Oh, he was an idiot. Yeah, I mean, he's like, calling me pedantic because I said there's actually a
He was the
definition.
one being pedantic. He was the one being pedantic, I thought. I mean, I
What?
just listened to the stream today. Re-listened to it.
Yeah, and like he just comes from this position that he doesn't really fall into any category or have any opinions or anything like that. But then he said it twice. He lied. He said it twice after saying that's not what he said. He said it again. He's obviously against idolatry because he said twice that, people make mistakes with idolatry. Like they're not perfect.
I think he's ex-Catholic.
And what's that thing he wears on his face and then on his eye?
Oh, he wears a monocle. He likes to pretend he's a pirate. Jacob Falterecci lets him posture and display himself regularly. But I think he suffers from logorrhea,
What's logorrhea?
verbal diarrhea.
Oh.
Well, I don't know. He does it a lot. I mean, he just really prefers to talk and not have anybody interact with him. And I notice what happened. He will let you stay on the stream with him if you agree with him, or if you talk, if you use philosophical jargon that can mean yes or no, which I'm sure Duvet will know exactly what to do. Not that Duvet would agree with him, but I mean, if you use you know the kind of philosophical terms these philosophy graduates use. And then you appear to be taking him seriously by using these philosophical terms, and he thinks he's talking to an intellectual, and he'll but even then he interrupted that Bruce person a lot, who is some sort of radio show pastor. But they're all like that, I would say. I mean, it's just a sort of parade of personality disorders, which I know you find disgusting, and I used to find disgusting until I thought I might as well make the best of it and take an interest in these different characters and their psychological issues. Because I mean, this is something I've noticed between Wignats and people like that. People who think they're middle class and Christian and goody two shoes kind of thing. And these middle class people are far more neurotic than Wignats. I mean, Wignats at least say what they mean and say what they think, but these people are actually terrified of speaking their minds because they're terrified of hurting each other's feelings and the nastiness that could ensue when they hurt each other's feelings, and he's very easily triggered. Because one of the streams I was on recently was really about, how do I moderate this? How long should you allow a person to speak? And what should you allow them to say? And, basically meaning me, because, they've obviously had enough of me, but I haven't actually said anything that would, that went against the community rules. So, okay, I'm basically saying that the middle classes are far more neurotic than the Wignats, who at least manage to obtain their kind of release by talking to each other and saying what they mean and getting strikes and complaining about it.
Well, I mean, the middle class doesn't want to get too radical, and so they really are becoming irrelevant, aren't they?
I think perhaps it's always been the case. If you're middle class, then you obviously have something to lose. And if you're right at the bottom of the heap, they need your labor anyway. So you've got to, the ruling classes basically have to put up with them because nobody else will do their jobs. This is just some history I read about the watermen of the Thames, who were basically taxi drivers who, before all the bridges of London were built, they would, take people across the Thames in their boats and basically tell them, their passengers, exactly what they thought of the government and the world, which is what, black cab drivers would do. One of the best conversations you could have with a stranger is really with a cabbie, because they know that they can tell you exactly what they think about everything, and you as a passenger have to shut up, or find yourself in a quarrel with the driver and then be booted out, before you get to your destination. So usually these taxi drivers get a compliant, submissive listener. But I guess I'm trying to say that working class people, in a way, have it better than middle class people who have too much to lose. They don't want their wives to divorce them because they've lost their jobs, and their children to go hungry because they've been cancelled. So I suppose we should feel for them a little bit. But surely there should be somebody able to say the things that need to be said. And okay, I'm basically saying, I'm doing it for them. If they're too scared to say it themselves, I'm saying it for them. So I rather resent it when they just have to do their dances of hatred around me. Their dances of fear and hatred.
Yeah, they're. Well, he said he threw you off the channel because you were calling him mentally ill, which I can understand if you get. Yeah, I know. But if you get annoyed to them to the point and they're having, useless conversations that are pointless, then it does get annoying. It's hard not to insult them, It gets hard not to insult them because they're just so disgusting, like cherry menthol. But
yeah,
they're so disgusting. But yeah, let me just get my thing out to cherry menthol, because this stream is going to be about her. But yeah, I mean, if you're gonna play this game to love evil people and stuff like that, I'm trying to get her to Judaize. I'm trying to get everybody to Judaize, because
what
that's
does that
just
mean?
Judaize, to do what Rabbi Watton said and take on the virtues of the Jews without any of the vices. And one of the virtues of the Jews is actually hating your enemies. This love thy enemy is pagan nonsense that crept in with Christianity. And it
I
obviously
don't think
doesn't
even
work.
Christians practice it.
What?
Do you think Christians even practice it? I thought it was a part of, Christian hypocrisy.
Well,
I,
they only practice it when it's most inconvenient, don't they? They only practice it when when um when it comes to jihadis like letting off bombs or something. They only practice it when it's they don't practice it with like, your average homosexual or something like that. But if it's a scary and hard and difficult thing to deal with, then they practice it. You know what I mean? Like if it's, if someone just like let off a suicide bomb, or, if there's hate and there's problems in Islam, then, that's hard to kind of go against. So you practice love, love for the sinner. But, if it's, something easy like a criminal thief or a homosexual or something like that, then they, they're hypocrites and they don't care about love.
well, it seems to be the liberal shtick as well. We must be tolerant, tolerate all kinds of evil and misbehavior, and then stop people from complaining when crime is out of control and illegitimacy is everywhere, and and then ask for even more forgiveness and shut you up and call you fascist for not agreeing with them, that the only solution is more tolerance and more forgiveness of bad behavior and evil. I mean,
Right,
these people
exactly.
create a problem and then say, oh, because of there is a problem, we must do more of the thing that created the problem in the first place. And it's usually women, because women want to be soft-hearted, because I think what it is, a lot of women just kind of understand that women like their women kind and stupid. That's
You
what.
mean men like their women?
Yes. So, yeah, that's what I meant to say. Men like their women kind and stupid. But but if men don't control politics, then women will be kind and stupid to refugees and the children of refugees, rather than people of their own group and own nation. And
Um,
where does it come from? It comes from this verse in the New Testament, isn't it? When Jesus was saying, "He who is without sin, let him cast the first stone," to this adulteress. I mean, he could have said, well, maybe stoning is a bit harsh, but I think this woman has done wrong, and something should happen to her, or something. But it's like, so what are you saying, Jesus? Are you saying that adultery shouldn't be a crime? Are you saying everything else shouldn't be a crime? What the fuck are you saying? No answer.
Yeah, I mean, right. If you don't make things crimes, they're going to continue. And that's the other thing about people like Cherry Menthol is that, or even Christians who don't believe in the Noahide laws, or even Muslims who don't believe in the Noahide laws, in that, look, if you believe something is heinously bad, I mean heinously bad, and you don't go after it to stop it, and I mean, then you're not really a moral person. If you think something is heinously wicked, yet you allow it to continue in your midst, then you really don't have morals.
No, because really the whole idea of morals is, we do this, but we don't do that. We always do this, but we never do that. I mean, there would be a list of rules, you know, fitting this description. And that is what we understand by, a moral system. And all the people in your group will do this thing because it's your, club rules, and then if it's successful, the group will come bigger and bigger and bigger. And if they're really stupid rules, then you'll be so weak, you'll fight amongst each other, you'll kind of, just leave the group until there's no group left, or your group will be, well, invaded and conquered and sold as slaves after, you know, that sort of thing. What are you eating?
I'm drinking.
Okay.
Hold
But
on,
that is a point of religion, I think. I mean, I think that was how, religion started off as. And then I guess if it was successful, the group would just become bigger and bigger and bigger. And if it wasn't, then it would just be conquered by others.
Well, I'm trying to teach Cherry Menthol about retaliation because we read in You Gentiles that retaliation is a Jewish trait, whereas forgiveness is a Gentile trait, right?
I don't know. I mean, they're quite vengeful Gentiles. So Cherry Menthol, okay, she's female. So she, even if she's actually malicious and vengeful, she will pretend to be kind and stupid because she thinks that men prefer kind and stupid women to, women who are smarter than them and who are, well, malicious. So in the olden days, women would just pretend to be stupid. So, they're not going to show up their intelligence because that is, well, that frightens men, puts them off, and they won't get married. So they have to rein it in, or are reminded by their mothers to rein in their displays of their intellect.
I like smart, malicious women. Okay. That's what I like. I mean, well, the point I'm disgusted with Cherry Menthol, because she's such a stupid bitch. She's like, she's just so stupid and dumb, and that's the reason that I hate her. And this, oh, love the whole world and love the sinner and all this stuff. Like, would you love a murderer? Would you love? Okay,
Well,
would you?
all these women who queue up to be the girlfriend of some notorious serial killer and write to him and want to marry him.
Yeah, I know. I don't know what the
It's
fuck is wrong.
disgusting, isn't it? But I think maybe the motivation is that, well, at least he won't be cheating on me when he's in prison, but I can cheat on him. Well, I mean, because I'm not in prison. Ha ha ha.
I don't know what
Maybe,
they're. I don't know
I mean,
what the.
it is a bit twisted, isn't it? What you said reminded me of, this was ages ago. It was with a male friend of mine, purely platonic, but I think it was a time when Trump was president, and there were all these complaints of all these people who would just walk into America and then they would be separated from their children because they'd march into America with their children, and they would be separated, and there was this huge leftist outcry, and I was saying to him, well, if we were courting, I would pretend to feel compassion for these, children of these walkers into of America are being separated from their parents. And you do slurp very loudly.
Sorry, go ahead. And
So I, because if I wanted him to think of me as a good mother and a kind and caring person, but a bit stupid, I would say, oh, but I would, I feel so sorry for these, children separated from their parents, who are illegal immigrants, and I would pretend to care, and he would have to pretend to approve of me, pretending to care about these children of these illegal immigrants. And this, is kind of what keeps the world going. It seems, all these sort of hypocrisies until it just until the crap overflows. I mean, okay, I can acknowledge that basically I'm unmarriageable because I'm not going to shut up about my political views. I'm always going to argue about them. I'm not going to let anybody get away with crap. Mostly not. And most men just couldn't care for that. Unless they already agreed with me, of course.
Okay, let's read a little bit from you Gentiles. We're getting close to the end. We're, still a few chapters away, but we should be done with this in a few days.
What's the title?
And you Gentiles.
No, the chapter title.
The masses.
Okay.
So if you haven't been following, I have all these you Gentiles videos up on my Vincent Bruno blogs. No, Vincent Bruno, excuse me. Vincent Bruno Shadow Band blogs.
Could you say again what the Jews were scared of?
Well, that they do things to like they adopt the Gentiles' ways, but they take them to greater extents. They become the most radical of the radicals, and they become the most like asshole-ish of the capitalists and stuff like that. They go to the extremes, the Jews.
Maybe they do it because they're trying to please Gentiles.
Well, that's what he says, that they're trying to like fit in with Gentiles.
They just want to be teacher's pet.
Well, maybe, yes. But I mean, we were talking about that's a reason why we think people have problems with Jews is that, they get involved in Gentile pursuits, but then, they just take it really, really to the farthest extent. And so then, the worst communist amongst the communists is always a Jew. The worst, the most cutthroat businessman amongst the businessmen is always a Jew because they take it, to that extent.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Since you insist, we will measure values with your standards and register the results. But you feel that the standards are not ours. We betray ourselves singly and en masse. We haven't the manner, and we haven't the manners, for manners are just a manner with you. This is your life and you enjoy it. Why do we disturb you with questions concerning ultimate values? That's interesting that, Jews are really supposedly not supposed to like the Gentile who likes to tinker with his car and play under the sink and like get, productive around the house. This isn't really the Jews' favorite thing to do. And yeah, I guess they're not really usually craftsmen, right?
Well, I don't know. I mean, once upon a time, Jews did live amongst themselves, and they would be farmers and carpenters and plumbers and all kinds of things. I mean, they didn't all become rabbis and they didn't all become academics, right? Some of them, they run businesses. They learn the trades, I guess. But I guess they would prefer not to. They would. I guess everybody wants to be middle class, or they think it is better to be middle class than working class. And it's not just Jews who think that. Lots of Asians think that. They always want their children to be doctors and lawyers and accountants and engineers. I suppose you could say that Jews have bourgeois values in that sense. You know, in that you want your children to remain bourgeois. You don't want them to, become members of the proletariat, because then you would have, somehow failed. You will see yourself as somehow having failed. I don't know. I mean, maybe they're happier. Maybe they want to be an electrician or a builder or whatever. And I guess you should let them.
Well, yeah, we need those types of people, yes. But there's not many Jews in the trades usually. I mean, there's not lots of Jewish construction workers or electricians or plumbers or, it's not what they're known for. It's lots of Irish in the trades.
Yes. But I
Lots of
suppose
it.
there are fewer Jews anyway to go round, and I guess those who did arrived, they probably did have to have, these jobs, and I guess they've either assimilated, so they're no longer properly Jewish, they just have their name, or they become middle class.
Well, I think Jews become middle class more quickly than other people do, and I think they stay middle class more often than other people do. So, yeah, I think that they stay middle class more often.
Mhm.
So, yeah, I mean, they probably are less in the trade, and maybe they are just less attracted to trade work. I know that, the Talmud says that farming is inferior, you know what I mean? That you don't want to be a farmer.
Well, I suppose the problem with immigrants going to the country is that they lose the protection of safety in numbers, because in the cities they can all gather themselves into one street or one neighborhood and look after each other. But if they go to the country and their neighbors don't like them, their goose is cooked. And country folk are they just have a prejudice against city folk, and even if it's their own race, they don't quite trust them. I mean, I know that about English people. It's like the locals don't like it if you just move in. They'll treat you like a foreigner until unless your grandparents were born there, then they might start accepting you a bit more. Maybe things are a bit different now. So, I mean, that might explain the reason why Jews, tend not to go to the countryside, or any kind of, newly arrived immigrant. They would stay in the city because, well, there's not much happening in the countryside unless you do own a piece of land and want to farm it. But if the locals don't like you, they'll be uncooperative and just shun you, and that's going to make your life difficult. And okay, so I knew somebody who lived in the countryside, and he was saying, well, actually, you have to be careful what you say in the country, because if you offend your neighbor, it's a social disaster, really. If you're involved in some, neighbor, dispute with your neighbor. But so I think always concentrating on it's because they're Jewish is maybe being a bit simplistic.
All right, we have one page left. Hold on. We lack inventiveness. You will say that this springs from our lack of vitality. Men are lyrical because life sings in them. They are inventive because life is restless in them and drives their fingers to activity. I will not argue the cause of the difference, but lacking inventiveness, we shall lack sympathy for it. In your delight, you call inventiveness the conquest of nature, but the boast is to us a foolish and childlike boast. The problem with which man is faced cannot be answered by scientific inventions. The conquest of nature does not lie in evolving keener sight, swifter motion, larger strength. This is but magnification, which leaves the element of the problem untouched. Can you conquer, but not nature, but the nature of things? It is in the nature of things that the bitter problem resides. If science should doubt the span of human life, as long as they retain their Jewish identity, they will, despite denial and effort to the contrary, remain the same. Okay, well, this wasn't very flattering to Jews, was it? That they're not inventive.
Well, these are generalizations, which I don't think are, yes, some people will say it's true, some people will deny it. I just don't think it's particularly helpful. Well, because you don't think it's true. I mean, I'm sure. Oh, I don't know. I think all these generalizations are not that helpful. I mean, okay, I've explained why Jews, the few Jews who are working class, because, well, they probably assimilated and, lost their Jewishness, or they, you know, did well for themselves and retained their Jewish names and traditions. But even amongst Jews, they behave differently, and they don't always get on. And I don't know. I mean, you need to talk to. I was going to say you need to talk to a Jew, but even if you had a few Jews around, they would probably disagree with each other about how to, um, whether to accept this description of them.
Hmm.
But okay, so basically, what he's saying, what Samuels is saying, is that Jews and Gentiles are different, and Jews are good at certain things, and Gentiles are better at certain things. And okay, we don't know because you haven't got to the end of it.
Well, no, we're getting there. Dalmatian Dog, I'm putting the link in the description for you. You asked for it. I don't even know why he bothers coming on here. He just gets mad at us because we talk about intellectual things.
He probably doesn't want to talk about anything that we've been talking about. He just wants
No,
to
he
talk
probably wants to
about
talk
that.
about being spied on.
Yeah, it's such a bore.
We're all being spied on, Dalmatian Dog. I'm being spied on. He wants to know who's spying on me. Obviously, the Jews have reported me. The Jews work with the federal government. All these local rabbis and stuff, they all have connections to the federal government, and whenever there's like a major anti-Semitic movement or group or individual, they report them. And then, the FBI keeps statistics on them. So, and especially if you show your real face, and especially if you are willing to go out in public and do protests and stuff like that and go to rallies, then they get really kind of scared of you.
Oh, there must be so many people now.
What do you mean there must be so many people
I mean, so
now?
many people complaining about the government. I mean, can they keep track of all these people?
Well, no, I mean, this is anti-Semitism. I think that well, okay, the thing is that most of these people complaining about the government or being anti-Semites are doing it from behind fake profiles. So, the Jews don't really know who they are unless they want to try to get the IP address somehow. But like I know with do you remember what's his name? Oh God, what was his name? Gypsy Crusader. Do you remember him? He got arrested and now he's out of jail.
No. What about him?
Gypsy Crusader is this kind of like part white, part Turkish, part gypsy guy, and he's an anti-Semite, and he showed his face and he used his real name, I think, or it wasn't hard to find out his real name. No, he did use his real name because he had been a journalist. Um, um,
What was he saying? What was he proposing?
well, he was just being an asshole to Jews and stuff like that. And so the Jews reported him. I remember, that he was on a watch list because the Jews had reported him. And the thing that they said that they thought he was an extra bad threat because he actually would show up at rallies and stuff like that, which meant that he was serious and so could become violent. And then he got arrested for saying something that it was a Jew actually was his lawyer saying for free speech, saying, well, he's allowed to say whatever he wants. I forgot what he said. I don't think he called for violence, but
Hmm.
he did say something. He said something that got him into trouble and got him sent to jail.
Right. I'll look him up. Talking about the ADL, I've just read a posting on Telegram that they have been demanding that Twitter censor Substack links
Why?
because all the dissidents go on Substack, like Ann Coulter, Jacob Vartarecci's on it too. Um, I mean, basically, I'm okay. I don't publish on Substack. I'm still doing it on Blogger because I just can't be bothered. But people like Substack because it's monetized and you can get people, to pay just to be able to comment on your posts and stuff like that. I basically haven't bothered. So, well, that is what they've been proposing to Twitter, ADL, telling Twitter to ban Substack links.
Yeah, I know, they want to ban everything. They're just, I mean, they're going to get themselves in trouble running around banning every little thing because then, eventually you're going to get
They'll get
everyone
themselves
mad.
banned.
Well, they'll get themselves banned, but they're gonna make everybody angry. I mean, there's only so much banning you can do before you start affecting the whole population, and then everyone hates you. I mean, it's one thing to ban extreme stuff, but once you start getting into banning everything, then it's over for you.
Yeah. Well, let's hope they keep wanting to ban things. Then it'll be over for them. But those people we were talking to on Faturecci's associates channels, they basically want to ban anyone who hurts their feelings or says things they don't like, and they don't actually know what they'll like or what they would like or
What
dislike until
Fatorecci's friends want to ban anyone they don't like?
well, okay, there was one stream that I kind of listened. Well, that I was sort of on very briefly at the beginning and and at the end, or well, actually in the middle and the end, and they were basically complaining about me, and so and the moderator was saying, "Oh, I don't know how I should treat this. I don't know how to um, how long I should let people stay and talk, and I don't know how to do this. I don't know how to do this." And then the others were talking about boundaries and crap like that. And basically, they seem to want a nanny to be there to stop their feelings from getting hurt. But I mean, of course, they wouldn't be able to agree on who that nanny should be. I mean, completely infantilized.
Yeah,
But
they are completely infantilized, and I'm trying to like I've really realized that 99% of the planet doesn't think unless they're forced to think, and that usually means that they're being put in pain. Um, excuse me. Um, I don't know if it's possible to put them in physical pain right now. I don't think we're you know,
There's
at
no
a
need. There's no need to. There's no need to torture them. It's enough to just tell them the truth about
well, but I
themselves.
know, but the thing is that if you're telling them the truth and they're sitting from a place of comfort, then, you know, then they're not going to change, especially if the truth is coming from a minority or the truth is not well known or well established. And, you know, it's just some rogue prophet out there telling the truth that it's not going to force them to think. I mean, the only time that they would think is if it became huge and a lot of people were it and they would fight with you if you disagreed with them, and you would get your social status lowered if you didn't believe in it or if you went against it and against the truth and all these other kinds of things. That's the only time that, you know, people will stop doing, you know, these types of things or will change. Most people, 99% of the planet is not going to change unless it's absolutely forced upon them. You know what I mean? And, you
I
know,
think we could be a force for force, forcing them to think, because okay, I mean, what I think they would do is they'll listen to us if we talk about them, and I mean they're Christians, right? So they're supposed to be interested in theology. And one of the things that Mark Lefebvre said was, well, you must never talk about theology unless you really totally trust the person, blah, blah, blah. And so basically, they're terrified of discussing theology because guess what? The Trinity. So I think we could have, more of an interaction with them by actually talking about them. And their, displays or their pathetic displays of mental illness, but they love Paul Van der Clay because he's always so kind to them, and he's his father figure, and he soothes them, and pats them on the head and whatever.
yeah, they're really pathetic. Whose show was I on last night? What was his?
Um, uh, you were on Randos United, which is controlled by Jacob.
Jacob Fattorecci?
Yes, because I think he pays for these people to stream, using StreamYard. You get a kind of associate status, or you can give membership to a friend of yours, and then they use it, and then you can crash their streams, and they can't complain because you're paying for it, which is what he did to Gavin basically when I was talking on Gavin's stream on Randos United.
Is that who I spoke to last night? Gavin?
No, Mark.
Oh, Mark. Well, I mean, he's not worth talking about. He doesn't, I mean, he has nothing to add to anything. He's just an idiot. Um, we have, I don't know. I don't know. With my thing, it's going to be the minority of people. I mean, right now, it's the minority of people who are going to resist the Noahide laws, and most people until it's okay. Most people are not so interesting enough that they're going to like side with the Noahide laws and be like, "Oh yes, I believe in the Noahide laws." Like most people are not that interesting or fun or entertaining, and so most people are just going to be tacit supporters, and that they're going to say, "Oh well, there's nothing really wrong going on here, and I don't really see why you're so upset," and like that kind of thing. Like he was saying that, well, basically, he is anti-idolatry. He wasn't shocked by these laws. He wasn't disturbed by them. He said, well, these are what our country was already built on, and these seems to be what we already have. And I said, well, well, he did say, well, if you tried to go back to them, people would revolt. He did say that, but
If you try to go back to what?
if we tried to outlaw idolatry and blasphemy, he said people would revolt. But
Yeah,
I
because
don't
it's
think.
against the First Amendment.
I know, but it would be a revolt of the peasants. It wouldn't be, revolt of the political classes.
Well, the political classes are pretty keen on the First Amendment.
Yes, but they're a lot more corrupt. I mean, the political classes, the actual like people in politics, look, the Jews will tell them how this. The Jews are not just going to come out and say, okay, let's ban people's religion. Okay, that's what I'm doing. I'm trying to accelerate it to that point, but the Jews are, they're much too boring for that. Okay, they're much too boring for that. And they're gonna, they're gonna say you can keep your First Amendment, even though it's not true. They're just gonna boldface lie. They're going to say this, say, oh, it's about freedom of religion. They're going to tell you that the Noahide laws are about freedom of religion.
Well, they are informed Gentiles who know that they will be lying. And they will look at the history of Education and Sharing Day and conclude that they're trying to hide something. Wouldn't they?
Well, I think you're overestimating the intelligence and the ambition and the morality of the Gentiles. I mean, that's how I would react. I mean, you know what I mean? I would be like, what is going on here? But would the vast majority of Gentiles react like that? I don't think so.
Well, the ones who would be competing against the no-hide laws, I mean, of course, that would be the Muslims, right? They were saying, don't leave the no-hide laws alone. They're only good for saying that Islam is the most no-hide religion and Christianity the least. So well, just come to Islam. That's what they're going to say, and because you know that Islam has never executed blasphemers and idolaters. I mean, to the extent that it disapproves of idolatry, it just kind of mildly reproves idolaters, saying you're wasting your time. Why worship idols who can neither help nor
Well,
harm you?
well, look, I think that first of all, a lot of Muslims are on the side of the Noahide laws. Number two, a lot of Muslims are smart enough to know that if you're anti-Noahide law, you can very easily also be anti-Muslim because Noahide and Sharia, Sharia is a lower form of Noahidism. So to be against one, is to be against the other. And I don't think Muslims have a strong foot to stand on when they talk about like, being all for human rights and stuff. I think people will just turn around and say, well, who are you to talk, about
Well,
human rights?
they would just say the First Amendment is based on Chapter 2, verse 256 of the Quran, which says there's no compulsion in belief, truth stands clear from error. That's what they would say. And that the no-hide laws would conflict with the First Amendment. And they would assume that, it would be un-American to propose its repeal
I think
or abolition.
the Jews would come up with some kind of sophistry as to why it allows freedom of religion, and I think the Muslims would be too cowardly to sit there and argue with them over their sophistry, as so they don't want to look anti-Semitic because they don't want to sit there and call the Jews liars. They're not going to
Well,
do
they could just
that.
say they're mistaken and, perhaps afraid of
Mm.
their Christian overlords.
Well, they're going to tell the Jews they're mistaken about their own religion. Look, Muslims are just as sleazy as Jews, and so sleazy people play sleazy games with each other. So if the Jews come out all sleazy and are like it's about freedom of religion and freedom of speech and everything is so liberal and wonderful under Noahidism, I think that the Muslims will find a hard time coming out and saying, "Oh no, nonsense! The Noahide laws are brutal and squash freedom of religion." I don't think they're going to come out like hardcore like that. I think they're going to play games like, "Oh, brother Jew, we also believe in freedom of religion, this, and we are brothers." You know what I mean? Like,
Hmm. Well, we'll see. But I mean, basically, we want secular Quranism and the no-hide laws to be, the alternative for social conservatives in the West who are Christian and know that Christianity is kaput. I mean that's what we're about, isn't it? Would you say?
Yes. Well, yeah, I mean, I mean, secular Quranism or Noahidism is the alternative to Islam in the West.
And
And
Christianity and
uh,
liberalism
yes, and
and
Christianity.
conservatism.
Yes, and now we have Quranic Noahidism, which is a marriage of the two. I just need
Which
to,
is your view?
I just really need to investigate how much overlap there is. I mean, I know. So what there would be contract laws, there would be marriage laws in the Quran. I'm trying to think. So the Quran would just add to the Noahide laws. You would have the Noahide laws, and you'd have to follow all of them. But then the Quran would just add to it. Whatever was missing from the Noahide laws would be added from the Quran.
Yeah, I mean, it might be easier for rabbis to say, just identify, anything in the Quran that you don't think is in conformity with the principles of the Noahide laws, and strike it out. Find something, but go through it. But Michael Schulman, he won't read the Quran because I think he's been warned not to or something. It's very strange, some of these rabbis. It's almost as if they've been warned not to read it, or they can't, trust themselves to read it on their own. And I remember him saying, oh, and I said, well, how can you comment on the Quran if you haven't read it? And he said, I have a Gentile to read it for me. As if it was just such a filthy document that he could possibly read it with his own Jewish eyes. So they're being a bit weird about it. I mean, possibly, rabbis kind of warn each other not to read the Quran, and with perhaps the motive of stopping Jews from converting to Islam, because if you're being logical about it, Islam is Judaism light, and if God says you can get to heaven using Judaism light, why wouldn't you? And
Well,
obviously they don't want to lose numbers, so maybe some big rabbi, or centuries ago, said you must never read the Quran because it's a bad book, and you may lose your olam haba if you do, or some silly threat like that, which may explain why so many rabbis refuse to acknowledge that they've read it, or refuse to read it point blank, like they're afraid of reading it.
maybe they are afraid of reading it. I mean, I guess that it's possible they're afraid of reading it. I mean, if you read it, your mind's going to be expanded and you're going to start thinking in avenues that you didn't think before. And, it could just really ruin you and ruin your faith and put you in turmoil and stuff like that. Though, you know, people prefer religions that work with their brain, the way their brain is formulated and the way their brain naturally works. And, I was, more attracted to Hinduism because it was more plural and diverse and, um, all these different gods with different aspects, and a lot of them had certain liberal traits to them or seemingly liberal traits that attracted me, and interesting stories and stuff like that. And I was naturally just more attracted to that, and I think that certain people are naturally more attracted to the greater complexity of Judaism. And yeah, the Quran is a simpler manual, and it is a simpler outlook. It's a simpler religion than Judaism is, and it's maybe it's not as the Noahide laws are complicated and simple at the same time.
Well, it's
In
just like
that,
saying God is complicated and simple at the same time.
well, but under the Noahide laws, you don't really need to learn a new theology, right? I mean, you don't need to. It's simple in that it doesn't necessarily require change in belief. It really only requires a change in action, and and it's really just negative prohibitions, right? Like, don't do this, don't
Sorry,
do
change in
that.
action. What do you mean? What, bowing
Well,
before idols?
yes, and things like that. I mean, I guess you couldn't. I guess you couldn't read the Quran, I guess. I guess that would be considered idolatry, unless you were reading it to refute it. And so, which under Judaism, you're only allowed to read pagan material or idolatrous material if you're trying to refute it, and that's the only time you're allowed to read it. And so, I guess you could put out these manuals, the Quran refuted, where it's the Quran, but within the Quran they have all the refutations listed out and everything like that, and why it's all wrong and that kind of thing. So, you might have to learn why Islam is wrong, but you're not going to have to learn about how something else is right.
Mhm. But I suppose the most important thing really is that if you're a Jew and you're saying Islam is rubbish, and you want to argue about it, then a Muslim will say, "Well, have you read the Quran? How do you know it's not as good as the Torah?" And so on and so forth. And I suppose reluctantly the Jew will have to read it. And the same thing, the Muslims arguing with Jews about which book is better. Well, I guess the Jew would have to say, well, you have to read the Tanakh, or it doesn't count. It'll just be your opinion, and you haven't even read it. And if you don't like it, you have to say why you don't like it and why it's not as good. And I guess both Jews and Muslims would have to read each other's scripture to have a debate worth listening to. Because then the Jew would say, well, the Quran is not right because A, B, and C, and the Muslims will say the Torah, the Tanakh is not right because of the E and F. I mean, they can't escape having to read it, is what I'm trying to say. They can't escape it. Because we all know that if you say a book is bad and you shouldn't read it, people will say why. And if they say, oh, it's just bad, just listen to me, that person doing all that will actually create a desire in others to read it if they don't you know give enough information, I guess. I mean, it's like the tree of knowledge and the tree of life, right? Adam and Eve had no knowledge of the tree of knowledge and the tree of life. It's only when God said, "Don't you even think about eating from the tree of knowledge and tree of life," that they, were subject to this irresistible urge to go and eat from those trees. So it's kind of dangerous even banning things because people go, oh, it must be interesting. It's been banned. Let me go and read it. But yeah, it's a fine line to tread. I mean, censors will also have to tread this fine line. And it's like the ADL saying, "Oh, we want Twitter to ban Substack," and then everybody, runs to Substack to have, to read all the writers of Substack before it's banned. I mean, I bet so. I don't know. I mean, do you predict that more people will be, joining Substack or leaving Substack as a result?
Well, I think the Jewish rule of studying something to refute it would play in here, and that I think they would be better off if they spent their time refuting every anti-Semitic argument that came out of Substack rather than banning it to make it look unreputable inaccurate. And like I think that I guess if I would under secular Noahidism, that's how we would deal with it. We would just release Qurans with commentary negating the Quran. You know, there would just be you know, the Noahides Quran, and you could read the Quran, or you could read the New Testament with all of the refutations there. Read the Vedas with all the refutations there, or whatever holy book there is with all the refutations there. So I guess that's how we would get around it.
Yeah. Well, you have to read the Quran.
I'm going to listen to it with you. That one, we're going to listen to it. We're gonna listen. I'm going to listen to it, the whole thing, so that I can finally say that I've like heard the whole thing.
Hmm.
Um,
Dalmatian dog seems to have gone.
oh, let's see. He's gone, or is he behind backstage? Oh, did he come backstage?
I don't know. I don't see any. I can't see when you have people backstage. Only you can.
Oh yeah, I did put it in. He never came on.
Mm.
Yeah, he never came on.
But I think if we follow those characters around, and they are nominally interested in theology, because the Christian or post-Christian or Christians about to lose their faith, and they congregate around um, Paul Viveki, who is quite ambitious. I mean, he talks about shaking hands with Jordan Peterson, backstage after meeting him at events and that kind of thing. So I think we should, be mixing in those circles.
Well, I mean, you can drag me into those circles. Like you sent me the StreamYard for this, whatever his name was, and I went on and I tried. I mean, it would be nice to find people that can actually have decent conversations, you know, rather than this, but I don't know where to find them.
Well, to be fair, some of them are all right. I mean, I like Neutrino. I like, I mean, some of them are all right. But all, there are some who absolutely hate me and block me on all my accounts, and kind of hold up the cross and want to throw holy water at me or something. Um, and that's because they already know that the Trinity is indefensible, and you know, but I think they need to know. They need to know. I mean, look, if God exists, then and if Jesus isn't God, then these Christians would be in deep shit, wouldn't they?
Well, yes, they would be. I mean, if the Trinity is false and, you know, the New Testament is false, then yes, they would be. You know, they would be, and I think Alice Cecil tore apart their New Testament rather well.
Yeah, I would say that who are the guys who wrote the New Testament? Nobody's heard of them. We don't know anything about them. And did they even write the book of Mark, Matthew, Luke, and John? I mean, there have been so many theories about them, being Roman propaganda, or Roman construct when Constantine decided to, you know, Christianize his empire. And also, I mean, the important thing to note is that Pontifex, which is the term for the Pope, the Latin term for the Pope, meaning chief priest, was the title of the chief priest of Rome before Rome became Christianized. There's something to bear in mind.
What happened before Rome was Christianized?
Pontifex is the Latin term for the Pope. And this
Mhm.
is also his username on Twitter. And Pontifex was the term for chief priest before Rome was Christianized. So it just means, chief priest in Latin for Romans. And obviously you can imagine, if you just exercise our imagination a little bit, you had to put on a show to impress the worshippers, right? There is a bit of stagecraft involved in the whole thing. Like, this is our ceremony. Look, you people of Rome, and you have to come here and do this and blah blah. It is actually a show, and people need to understand that. And it looks good, and it looks good in any of the of the Eastern religions, I think. Because if you every time there's a pope's funeral, and there's always a helicopter view of the procession, the uniforms of all the cardinals and whatever. I mean, it looks really great. And this is what impresses people, and the music, and this transcendental experience that people get when they go to Catholic mass, and they smell the incense, and the smells and bells, and the ritual, and the choral music, and the stained glass, and the stone building. I guess you don't have it in America, but there's plenty of that in Europe.
Mhm. Right. Right. Well, I don't know what would happen to all that. I think it would depend on how radical things got. I mean, I don't know. I mean, I don't know if that would all be viewed as idolatry or not. I mean, there's this weird aspect to the Noahide laws that part of it is about keeping your culture, but part about it is about destroying it. And some Noahides and Jews are all like, well, we want to keep as much of the culture as possible intact, so people feel, you know, welcome into Noahidism in their own cultural milieu, and
Yeah, yeah.
that
The changes will have to be gradual. I mean that's why I'm not saying I'm going to be destroying all these places of idolatry. Uh, in the UK, the Church of England would have to be disestablished. I mean that's all. But I mean this would have implications on the monarchy and all that. But I'm just talking about it at this stage because I mean the whole point of the monarchs accepting the bargain of the Catholic missionaries when they were illiterate barbarians, was the missionary saying, "Well, if you become Christian, we're going to look after you. We're going to tell you how to govern your kingdom better, and control your people. That's how we can control your people better than you can control them under your current system. And we're going to do this through building of churches. So people will gather there regularly to be told what to think in their sermons every Sunday, and they will be participating in a show. There will be music, there will be incense, there will be um, audience participation, there will be rituals such as, the Eucharist. It will be something that it will be, something new and something they can eventually identify with. And in return, barbarian king, you will give us the souls of your subjects. That was a bargain. That must have been the bargain. And the barbarian king said, yes, sounds good to me. Better than what I have now. And the glamour of Rome, the eternal city, will impress the hoi polloi. But obviously, after the kings became literate and studied, I don't know, the classics, Latin, Greek, whatever they studied in medieval times, they had a few ideas of their own, and they didn't want to be told by the Pope whom they could or couldn't marry. I mean, the break from Rome by Henry VIII was because he wanted a son, and his first wife couldn't give him any more children. By the time he realised that he wasn't going to have a son, Catherine was 40. So he wanted a son, but he couldn't divorce her. Because divorce wasn't a possibility; it didn't exist as a concept in Christianity. So he could only get an annulment, which is to pretend that your marriage never happened. And this was what he applied to the Pope to do, and the Pope, because he was related to Catherine of Aragon, his first wife, said no. And that was why he broke from Rome. He said, well, I'm a king. I'm going to marry who I like. I'm not going to bequeath my kingdom to some daughter. And then he married Jane Seymour. No, sorry. It was Anne Boleyn, his second wife, and who gave him a daughter who was Elizabeth. But she displeased him and was beheaded. And the third one was Jane Seymour, who finally gave him a son, but unfortunately he did not survive into adulthood. He died when he was 15. So the throne went to Mary, who was the daughter of Catherine of Aragon, who was a fanatical Catholic and basically beheaded and burned all those English people who were not Catholic or not Catholic enough, who had associations with Anglicans, until she died and the throne was inherited by Elizabeth I. So basically I'm saying Christianity was only ever used to support the divine right of kings, and it failed to prevent the fall of Rome. It failed to prevent the regicide of Charles I or the regicide of Louis XVI in the French Revolution, and the regicide of Nicholas II in the Russian Revolution. It's been failing for 500 years. And I suppose the founding of the American Republic accelerated disbelief in Christianity, because you were the country who basically said, well, we're not going to have all this nonsense of a king, supported by Christianity anymore. We're going to have a republic run by a meritocracy. And then everybody in Europe wanted the same thing. That was why there's so many revolutions in Europe after the American Revolution. It just kick-started a whole series of events that is even now unfolding in the 21st century. It's just saying you can't have Christianity as your religion because it's failed. After 500 years, the penny should have dropped, and you shouldn't be so upset about it because, well, at least there's some solution to hand that you're refusing to look at because of your Islamophobia.
There's a reason to be scared of Islam proper. I mean, the Hadith is full of garbage and evil shit.
You have to control the interpretation. That's what you have to do. Of course, you have to control the interpretation. And lots of Muslim countries don't go the whole hog either. They've got a lot of things wrong. Because the whole point of a caliph is that he's not a king. He's basically a constitutional dictator, and when he goes, there's some sort of consultation with the citizens of the republic about who should be the next leader. He's not allowed to just give it to his son. So, and the Muslims have themselves, because they wanted to carry on the institution of monarchy, they, well, they ended their empire. Really, I mean, I think I've explained to you why the Mughal Empire ended, because okay. So basically, the Mughals broke the four wives max rule. So they had harems, and so did the Ottoman Empire. So they certainly had more than four wives, and probably these emperors spent more time in their harems than they did ruling their country, and maybe that's why it declined. I mean, if you look at the imperial harem of the Ottoman Empire, it was an actual institution, and I think it was the sort of the matriarchy that eventually liberated the Ottomans from all these Islamic rules. So basically, I think in 1858 they said gay marriage would be okay. I don't. Well, that's what I heard. That's what I remember, and then it just declined. But I'm saying all empires decline through lowering standards of sexual morality, and marriage is always the gold standard of sexual morality. And if you lower it, you'll suffer degeneracy, which means you'll just get crazier and stupider and more evil until your empire breaks up. And I'm saying it can be reversed, but obviously you have to act quickly. I mean, a lot of these Wignats say, "Oh, let's let everything collapse, and then we'll build again," like they're going to be around when it collapses.
Yeah, right. This is what I'm telling them, that America is not going to collapse overnight, and it's not going. Look, it's just going to slowly decline over time and then disappear. It's not like tomorrow the whole system's collapsing and you're going to come out with your guns blazing and take everything over.
Like in Mad Max, which is probably what they imagine.
Yeah, I mean, they're dumb if they think that's the way it's going to happen. Like, like, it's going to be dystopian for, a while. It's going to be dystopian,
Civil
and
disorder, civil war. I mean, when you think about, well, China, I mean, it had to suffer, the invasion of the Japanese, and they had to put up with the Europeans taking Shanghai and doing what they wanted, and then they had a civil war, and then it wasn't fun. But anyway, they got rid of the institution of monarchy, and I'm saying fundamentally that is a problem, because it's actually obviously stupid, right? You if you want to choose the best national leader, then you have to open it up to, well, the rest of the country. You can't just say it's only my family who are allowed to be, the successors to my throne, because your son is just going to be no good. Or even if you have lots of sons, like the Mughals did.
Hey, sorry, I was laughing at something I posted. I don't know if you guys could hear me laughing.
Yeah, we did.
Okay, sorry.
But I'll finish my story about the harem.
Okay.
The Mughals got around the problem of not having enough sons to inherit, so they had harems and basically, well, concubines, and had lots of sons. But then the problem was every time they died, every time the emperor died, all their sons would have to kill each other in order to become the next emperor. So that was why the Mughal Empire fell. And over to you, Dalmatian Dog.
I was just laughing at this post I made on Discord about how we don't get a vote for really anything. The older people have come up with this choice for the young people where you go down to the ballot box. They've got the greatest choice. They've got the best choice for you, young people. You go down to the ballot box, you vote on the law, you vote on how the systems work. No. Then the elites have to control that. We'll give you a vote between the man he used to host The Apprentice on the TV. or Biden, who's grabbing, sniffing, pulling young people close, wiping his nose up against the young people. He's 400 years old, barely can even walk, doesn't even know where he is. This is the choice the older people have come up with. This is the country that they expect you to participate in, to bring children into. Then they're confused about why the birth rate's going down. It couldn't be us. Why is the birth rate going down? We can't figure it out at this point in time. It's just too complex. It must be that damn technology. It couldn't have anything to do with us or our society, right? It's not like we're responsible, even though, in my opinion, they're greatly responsible, as I think anybody with common sense knows. And these people will go down. These people will go down. We're trying to bring this country down at this point in time. Don't have a family to help build this country up. We want the elite's kids to be swimming in a sea of fucking minorities, to get trampled over. You know, we're maybe the correct thing to do, I was speculating earlier, is just vote Democrat. I really do believe that, because Richard Spencer did that, and although Richard said many retarded things, he's done a lot of retarded things. He might be right on that question, because just accelerate it, just vote for the party that's going to screw everybody, cause more chaos. You know what I'm saying? Republicans want to restore order to a fallen empire that's unrestorable, unsavable, dystopian, horrible. So it's like, don't give the people a vote for anything real, right? Don't give a illusion of a choice, dystopia, idiocracy. Name one thing that even works in the country. No, it couldn't be us, though. You know what? I've come up with my own set of laws. I've got my own set of laws. I don't believe in the laws the so-called U.S. government set up, the old people have set up. That's a bunch of made-up nonsense. I have my own laws. And you know who's guilty? You know who's guilty, Claire? You know what? Okay, there's my rant. Hey, Vincent, did you listen to that thing I posted in the chat?
What? You posted something in the private chat?
No, I posted it in this alt-censored link. You can't play this on stream, probably. I doubt.
What's alt-censored? Oh, it's in the comments? It's in the comments?
Here, I'll post it in the comments. Sure, I'll post it in the private chat.
Yeah, post it in the private chat. Oh yeah, accelerate. What is this?
It's just something you should listen to in regard to the Jews. I think it says a lot of truths about them that go rather untold.
Oh, Bobby Fischer's notes on the Jews.
Yeah. Can you play it on stream?
I can't play it right now, but I would have to set up my other computer, and that's being used right now. So I can't play it right now, unless you want to share your screen. How long is it?
Vincent, do you have children?
No.
You don't, right? Do you have are you planning on having them?
I don't know.
Don't. No, yeah, you can't audit this. Do not at this point in time. Because if you have children, you're helping out the country. You know what I'm saying? You're helping out the elite. What's the life for your child? They're going to be a sex slave. They're going to they're going to be a slave to mega corporation industries. They're going to be living in a bunch of 400-pound people, bunch of homeless people, bunch of crooked lawmakers, bunch of bad decisions, you don't even get a real vote for anything in this fucking evil empire. Man, I'm going to bring this country to its fucking knees if it's the last thing I ever fucking do in my life. I spit on America. I fucking hate this country. I genuinely do. I wake up every day and hope that America isn't around any longer. Literally. I hate America. I have tremendous hatred for the country. I can't believe that there are sorry motherfuckers that fly flags at this point in time. The only people that fly the flag, it's a flag of scamming everybody. It's the flag of idiocracy. I mean, it's a scam state. Everybody's just trying to get over on everybody. Nobody believes in the right thing anymore. Everybody's a liar. Nothing's real anymore. It's horrible. I mean, who the hell comes up with this country? Psychopaths? Insane people? Do they realize that their children are going to have to live in the country that they legislate? Sometimes I think that they don't even understand that concept. They're too fucking dumb. They are so dumb. The lawmakers of America it is past the point of no return. Somebody should do something about them, in my opinion. Look into them. You know what I'm saying? This is the older people have come up with a great choice for you. Vincent, head down to the ballot box today, okay? They've got a tremendous choice for you. And all their genius have come up with this decision for you.
Well, I guess you sound like you're black pilled.
You know, work to bring down America today. Do the right thing. Help destroy the country.
Yeah, that sounds pretty.
There is so much more bankrupt than anybody in U.S. politics even knows. I have probably, in my opinion, I'm one of the smartest people probably alive. I think, you know, there's some more intelligent people than me, obviously. You know, chess geniuses. There's many geniuses out there, but do I think that they know the same information I do about the government and the society and these sort of things, the situation at this point in time? I don't think that they're as aware. Probably, I'm probably one of the most aware people alive today, and the empire is more bankrupt than anybody even realizes. The infrastructure is falling apart with them at whatever their debt number is, and so you know it's fucked from an economic standpoint, from a moral standpoint, from any standpoint anybody could ever even consider. They're fucked. They are fucked. They're more fucked than anybody even realizes, in my opinion, too. It's unbelievable. If you really look at their numbers, they're just fucked from a numbers perspective. You're not gonna be able to defeat the bad numbers. Okay, you're not gonna be able. There's nothing you're gonna be able to do against the bad numbers. I think that's why they're doing this plunder situation that they're doing. Getting Ukraine to fight this proxy war for them in Eastern Europe. These crooked fucking pirate Americans, so they can rebuild Ukraine or get the country done and over with as soon as possible. They know they're bankrupt. They know they're fucked in their heart of hearts. Okay, they do know. A lot of them do know, at least the ones that are honest about it, at least the ones that are not completely retarded. You know, a lot of the retarded ones probably don't even know anything. A lot of the politicians are on Twitter, 14 hours a day. They don't do any real work. And the money is not real. The money is just being generated, given out. The economy's rigged and everything else. People are living in hell and there's no leadership. It's just horrible. I don't know how people can live like this. I don't know what the incentive is to even... I didn't used to think about the country like I did today because at some point I was too young for it to matter to me. I don't think anybody's ever going to support this country again. If I see a young person supporting America, I automatically assume that they've been conned or tricked. Literally. I mean, there's no other explanation, or they just are. Maybe they don't understand what the hell's going on. Maybe they have a warped view or something. I mean, maybe it's more genetic than anything. Maybe, I guess, the love for the country or whatever, but I mean, at some point, it's like, what are you flying the flag for? You're just a self-admitted crook or you self-admitted loser. You know what I'm saying?
Well, if you all just stop having kids, then I mean, there's no future.
No, well, it's gonna be the only Vincent, the only people that are gonna have kids are gonna be the people at the lowest levels, right? That are just fucking, and because they don't think twice and they're low IQ. It's like Idiocracy. You've seen that movie, right?
Yes.
Okay, that's literally what's going on right now. I mean, that is real life, in my opinion. So. It's gonna be the poor people that have kids, and then sure, the people at the top might have kids if they're genetically inclined, like some of them, like Elon and others. But I hope that their kids get the kind of society that the parents helped to build. That it's gonna be a really fucked up one. I mean, it's gonna be really fucking Idiocracy. I mean, they are just pushing the Idiocracy like crazy at this point in time.
Yeah, it's gonna be bad. No, it's gonna be bad. It's gonna be bad.
A lot of people are gonna get killed, in my opinion. We'll see. People are already getting killed today. Everybody sees 400 pounds. They have nothing. They're living in hell. It's just horrible.
Well, yeah, this sounds black pill. This sounds like you have no solution.
Well, the solution is to fix the laws, to fix the systems, to give people a vote on something real besides the Apprentice host or the child sniffer, as the old people have come up with in all their genius.
Well, read Alan Cecil because he goes after the whole entire American system and lays out a legal system to kind of replace
I
it.
have my own again, Vincent. I have my own laws. I've come up with my own laws. I think America's largely illegal through my own laws. In my opinion, the country's illegal. So, uh, basically, I'm just in this illegal dystopian empire, corrupted beyond belief. Just going around in the idiocracy every day. I wake up and hope that this country isn't around anymore. Do you think is it just me, Vincent, or is it going to be like, is this like the feeling of everybody like hates each other in this country? Do you get that feeling?
Yeah.
You know, most people in America are just scum. Like I said, yeah, they're scum. Throw that on the list too. They're low lifes, and it's understandable. But you know, this is what's been legislated. So what are you gonna do? You look at the political situation. You look at even Nick Fuentes. Show me one white pill. Give me one white pill, Vincent. Well, politically speaking, give me one white pill at this point in time. Go ahead, do it. The one, just one. One person.
I'm hard pressed.
I mean, like, even Nick is so fucking stupid. Nick's show for the last, like, week and even longer is Nick Fuentes has no evaluation skills. The things he says border on fantasy. Okay, it's just a dream. It's like a fake thing. It's just like he's doing what all the politicians do. Just tells you what sound good, tells you what makes you feel good. Doesn't matter if it's real. Doesn't matter if it actually works. It's like Elon posted that one thing about the rat and the cheese. Do you know what I mean by that?
No, what did he say?
He posted this one fucking meme that makes me want to go fucking haywire, man. Urgh. It makes me fucking psycho, man. Let's search Elon Musk rat and cheese. This is what he posted. Oh man, somebody should really look into these people. Seriously, man. They're guilty of a lot of criminal wrongdoing, in my opinion. They're guilty of a lot of destruction, a lot of mischief. But hey, their families, what are they doing it for? What are they doing it for? You have to wonder. They're doing it for the temporary personal self-gratification. And so, they won't, if they do have families, they'll get what they'll get what they helped to legislate. They'll get what their parents helped to legislate and help to create, right? And I won't be participating. I'm not with this country. This country is on a terroristic path. He posted this right here. This isn't from his Twitter. I can't find the tweet. It's sort of old. Man, this picture makes me want to fucking this picture turns me evil, man. I'm telling you. Turns me psychotic.
Hold on, wait. 1 second.
I'll post it in the chat too. But this is a bad link. I mean, I can't find the link to the real tweet. It shows that he tweeted this here in this picture though, but it'd be funny if somebody looked into this guy. You know what I'm saying, Vincent?
Hold on, I'm gonna hold on. I'm going. Hold on. Okay, let's say.
Claire, what do you have to think about all what I've said so far?
Mom leaves out poison cheese for the rat, me and the rat at 3 a.m. What is this supposed to mean? I don't get it.
You don't understand. That's got a little deeper meaning. It's quite sophisticated if you think about it, but it's
No,
quite comical
what does
in
it
some
mean?
regards.
What does it mean?
Well, I mean, it's kind of I think it's kind of a metaphor. I think it's metaphoric in some sense for and I believe that that's how Elon sees it as well. And I mean, probably many people can't understand that, but it's sort of a metaphor for the mom is the government, right? In this example. And so,
Okay.
the government's kind of got to be guiding people to the cheese, in some sense, right? You've got to get your piece of the cheese. If the government doesn't guide people to the cheese, you know what happens, Vincent?
What?
You end up dead. Everything goes down. It's not a good situation. It ends up like this picture here. So, and if the cheese is poisoned, especially, it won't be good. But I think it is metaphoric. And it's a metaphor about the government and guiding people to some reward. You know what I'm saying? Through legislation, lawmaking, or so forth, right? And the cheese is sort of whatever. It's these people. I guess they just want slaves. I don't really know what the hell they want. I mean, a lot of them probably want different things. But I think it's just this, and in my opinion, what makes me so mad about it is it's a metaphor that's just not based in reality. It's just like Elon's perception of what will happen, what should happen, but seemingly will never happen. But he's like, oh, this is what my moral stance is. But then you see the way the things are, right? It's just it's like we can't guide people to poison cheese, right? That's sort of the metaphor for the guy. It's a metaphor for the government.
Hmm.
It'd be funny if somebody looked into this guy. You know what I'm saying, Vincent?
Yeah.
Like I can't believe that these people. I mean, they've got all the security systems in the world, right? Oh man, I hope they got a lot of them because the doomsday times are rapidly approaching, in my opinion. If they're not already basically here now, arisen now, right? But it's laughable, this country, man. It's like you can't guide people to poison cheese. You can't leave out poison cheese. You've got to guide people to good things. You've got to guide them to, like, I don't know. That's kind of how
Are
I
you just
feel.
saying that you think the matriarchy is evil, and by extension, most women are evil, or have the capacity to do great evil because of, of what they're like?
Oh, I think it's just I think it's past women. I mean, I don't really. I don't know. I mean, I think that it's more. I think it's past women. I don't think it's just about women like you do, Claire. I don't know.
No, I don't think it's just about women. I don't think it's just about women. Obviously, both sexes have done something wrong, but
I think it's truly about the bad operators. That's the major problem with America is it's mismanaged. It's not ran right. There are way too many bad outcomes being generated all around, and there's no escape for it. So everybody just hides away. I mean, why do you think nobody's having families? Nobody's having kids. Nobody even wants to go out in the American public anymore. Nobody even ventures out in the public anymore. Why is that? Why does nobody go out there anymore? You have to wonder to yourself. I think we all know why.
Because people don't get married because the law doesn't support marriage. It doesn't support people who are married. It approves of easy divorce. So,
well, I think there's deeper reasons than that. I think there's political reasons for that. I think there's societal reasons for that as well.
Okay, so why do you think the government no longer supports marriage? Because it would be unpopular. Because now you've given people sexual liberation. You can't take it away from them without them going crazy.
You would argue that why couldn't I argue that marriage is sexual liberation?
From what?
From degeneracy, from hedonism.
Okay, I say that marriage is sexual regulation. So the law is not saying you shouldn't have sex at all. It's saying that you can only have sex with your marriage partner.
Okay,
if you
Claire,
have sex with
Claire.
anyone else, you're wrong and you should be punished, or that was what the law was in the olden days. And now the liberal way is to say that as long as you have sex with another consenting adult, it's okay.
Can you address everything I said before about how you don't get a vote for anything and how the birth rates are just tanking, right? Why do you think that is? I mean, it's so self-evident in my opinion. And all these elites and these fucking crooked people act
what is your question again?
They don't know why the birth rates are going down. They're crying, oh, why does nobody want to have a family in our country? We just can't figure it out. It's too difficult to figure it out. It can't be us. It definitely isn't us. I'm going, oh, you people, I can't wait till you fuckers go down. I can't wait till you fucking
Okay,
turn
so
around.
how would you solve the problem of low birth rates?
You could start by fixing a lot of laws. You could start by fixing a lot of things in our society very easily through through like I mean you have a problem with bureaucratic gridlock in the US certainly, but
But
there are
by treating
there's a
unmarried
lot of,
parents as sex offenders, that would start. That would be a start, wouldn't it?
huh?
By treating unmarried parents as sex offenders would send the right message all round.
How
So
do you
say,
clear that seems kind of far-fetched to me.
no, it's in the Quran. I know you don't like it, but I mean, it would, if there were such a law and it was in force, then people would know not to have bastards, right?
You don't think that could potentially even wait, what's the law again?
Chapter 24, verse 2 of the Quran says, lash fornicators 100 times.
Okay, unmarried parents having a child out of wedlock, you're saying make that illegal?
Yeah, I mean, their child is the evidence that they did it.
So what would you do with people who did have? Throw them in jail?
100 lashes in public. In the shopping mall. I don't know.
Is this real, Claire?
Yeah,
This
it's in the Quran.
Okay, Claire. How old is
And
that?
it's
How
being
old is the
done.
Quran?
It's being done. It's being done in Aceh province in Indonesia. You can actually find pictures, videos of how they do it, and it's like a school caning. They're not killing people and flogging them to death. It's a caning, and obviously it's public, and people who are punished will be humiliated, and the people watching will know not to do it. What's so hard about that? It doesn't cost that much money, and people will get the message.
Don't you think that would be rather? Don't you think lots of people would say that's rather barbaric and
No,
inhumane
it's
and
not. Okay,
draconian?
okay. I'm going to ask you what you mean by barbaric. Are you saying anything that isn't approved of by liberals is barbaric?
No, obviously not, Claire. But I'm saying that.
Is corporal punishment in principle barbaric? I mean, were white people, when they inflicted corporal punishment on each other, were they being barbaric?
When did white people inflict corporate?
Well, they would spank their children, right? That's corporal punishment.
I think in today's society, corporal punishment is significantly it's like non-existent pretty much, all right?
Yeah, because it hasn't been done, but maybe the problems you have now in America with your ever rising crime rates is because you don't do it anymore.
You're saying that these problems, you believe that a lot of problems could be remedied through corporal punishment.
Well, by fixing the law, I'm actually agreeing with you, because you said earlier that you just change a few laws and everything will be working properly again, because then people will get the right message about what they should be doing and what they shouldn't be doing. That's how you change people's behavior, right? Wasn't that what you were saying?
I don't know if we would need to. Do you really think that we would need to go to the level of corporal punishment? Do you think that's necessary at this point in time? Can I just say, could you mitigate unmarried parents through another means besides public lashings or corporal punishment?
No, because that's what it says in the Quran. And okay, so I'm saying the only thing that could fix your country and the rest of the West, because we all follow you, right? The Europeans just follow
West.
America, whatever America says.
Okay, sure. Yeah,
because
the Europeans.
We're stupid and we're weak and whatever Uncle Sam does, we just follow blindly, unquestioningly. And you're a bad influence. Uncle Sam is
Uncle Sam is insane. He is drunk right now, and unfortunately, Europe is just a puppet. So
I'm looking to the American people to deal with Uncle Sam, and talk about stuff that might have gone wrong without being so terrified of saying the wrong thing. I mean, it's not that hard when you think about it. It's like we have social media. We can say these things within reason. We don't have to, okay. Nothing I have suggested would break any of the YouTube community guidelines. We just say, well, the problem is that nobody respects marriage anymore. And because we don't respect marriage, we don't marry early. And if we do marry, we don't stay together for the sake of the children. And a lot of children grow up in fatherless homes, making them mentally
you don't
ill,
think
drug addicts and delinquents.
The society makes divorce more prevalent today. There's like a lot of different reasons why these things happen, Claire, like out of wedlock births and unmarried parents and these
Because
sort
it's
of things.
been
I
normalized.
think it's more complicated than what you think. Yeah, but
No, it's
why?
been normalized. It's been normalized because of your culture of casual sex, which is promoted by Hollywood, isn't it?
No, I think it's more about the fact that like people are living very quickly now for various reasons. But I think it also has
What
other
do you
things
mean
to
living
do.
quickly?
Like I don't know, Claire. It's hard for me to explain all this, but what is the question exactly? I'm sorry. What was that in
You
regard to?
said
I
people
forgot.
are living quickly now, and I didn't
Yeah,
understand.
yeah, because people are more like into they're into more immediate gratification now. There's not a lot of consideration or about the future to some degree now, I think, within some people.
Well,
But
okay, so
I
that's a
think
product of atheism, isn't it? Because, okay, you think of yourself as an animal. If you're hungry, you go out and hunt for food. If you feel horny, you look for a mate to fuck. I mean, you just do whatever comes into your head, whatever feels good, whatever you can, what's around you that you can do without thought for the future. Mind you, I mean that's actually unfair for for animals, because some animals, they kind of collect food for winter and plan ahead for they do plan ahead, some of them do.
I don't think people have respect for those traditional practices anymore or care about them because I think that they just want to live like in the here and the now more so than before. And it's like they don't like nobody has respect for them because nobody has respect for about anything in this society anymore. It's
Because
become a society that
we're
well,
encouraged to consume by hands on TV. It's like buy. If it feels good, do it. Just do it, says Nike, and everybody thinks, "Ooh, I got to go and just buy myself another pair of Nike shoes, right?" And they cost a lot. You've already got quite a few pairs, but you're just gonna buy it. Buy the latest, pair of, whatever special thing that it's got this year.
people are
Um,
blackpilled. They like people don't care. They're just like, you know what? Like they don't. They just want. They want, and they don't. They see everybody else taking for themselves, and so they take for themselves, and they don't. But there's a million reasons why things are the way that they are. I think that
I would say it's atheism.
no, it's more than atheism, Claire.
Well, nihilism.
I mean, these things, yeah. I mean, to some degree, I think, yeah, these play a role, but like, there's other reasons too. I believe it's like social attitudes, societal attitudes, and
Yeah,
outlook.
well, people obviously, try and fit in and do what most people are doing. But what you said earlier about living quickly, and it seems that you meant they do not postpone pleasure; they seek immediate gratification. And I said the reason for that is a culture of consumerism, and also most people being atheists, because if you're atheist, you think, well, I've only got one life. When I die, I'm dead. I don't have an afterlife. Therefore, I'm going to have I'm going to take all the opportunities I have to have sex, to have fun, to do stuff, and I'm going to fit it into this life. And I don't care who I fuck over as long as I'm having fun, because you would be a fool to think otherwise. So what I'm saying is that the culture encourages nihilism, people without principles, people who want to pursue happiness at the expense of others, which is the unofficial religion of America. And this means that people don't give a thought for future generations or their own afterlife, which people who believe in God are supposed to believe in, because they think, "Ooh, if I murder somebody, even if I don't get punished in my lifetime, God, who sees everything and knows everything, will punish me either in this life or the next. So I better not murder people, even though I really hate this person," or whatever. So belief in God would have the effect of letting in a policeman into our minds, and that would regulate our behavior towards each other and make us not so crazy and mean and evil towards each other.
Well, I think people need to be hateful and evil and mean to each other, and I don't think murder is necessarily wrong. But so, I think on your regard to the things you're saying, like, I think I agree to some degree, probably, but I don't think I think you're not understanding the full picture of. You're saying like who's responsible for this degrading society where everybody just wants to take what they can here and the now. I mean,
Okay, I'm going to explain that. You said, "Oh, damn, there was something I wanted to and it's gone out of my head." It was something you said about, oh yes, you said in certain cases murder is justified, and I'm going to say that in law, self-defense is a complete justification for murder. I guess that was that what you meant?
well, I mean, murder is technically like the illegal killing of somebody, right? But again, like, I don't agree with the laws are just a bunch of made up nonsense, in my opinion. I don't care what the laws say; that's all just fake. So,
Okay, and I'm going to say, well, execution is also murder, but it would be legal murder, and killing your enemy in battlefield is also legal.
okay,
Because
sure. I
okay,
guess I just don't. Whenever somebody says murder, I'm always confused about what the hell that actually is. I don't understand what that
the
even means.
intentional killing of another human being, I suppose, is what
Yeah,
is
but I
there.
mean, okay, but you kill people intentionally in battle, like you said.
Yeah, yeah.
So, but that's not murder, right? So it's like there's no. I feel
It's
like
not
murder.
called
There's no
murder.
definition. There's no. I mean, I don't know what the hell murder even is, in my opinion. It's the murder is a term made up and created by the government of America. I think. I don't think it is even real. I don't believe in
Okay,
that
okay,
concept.
we can leave that aside, but I just want to make
Okay,
my
yeah,
position
sure,
on
sure, sure.
murder clear. So what you're saying, why are people so evil? And I'm saying it is a long drawn out process. It didn't happen, recently. I think it is the consequence of America not having an official religion, and I'm saying you need one to know whether the laws that Congress passes is right or wrong. Otherwise, Congress will just pass any law it likes, and you will be helpless to
But they
defend.
have basically they have. Oh, Claire, we just discussed this before. Okay. Let me argue this. They've got an unofficial religion. You're saying that's not enough?
No, the unofficial your
How many
unofficial.
Christians is there in America, Claire? Do you know?
It doesn't matter because there are no Christian principles that are supported in by U.S. law. We don't even know what a Christian principle is, do we? Do we know what a Christian principle is?
Okay, Claire. Okay, do you
Well,
want to go down this path? Okay, sorry.
okay, guys, I'm gonna have to go. I have work. Sorry, I have to end the stream.
Okay, that's
Okay.
fine.
Well, I'll be streaming quite soon with John Vance talking about, and the title is the Constitution enough to something like that? It's about the Constitution and the law. So please come over at, in about 40 minutes time on
Okay, Claire, can we talk for a second after Vince ends stream?
okay, I'll okay.
Just stay inside and talk, and I'll just close it down. But just stay
Okay,
inside
sure.
the.
Sure, sure,
All
sure.
right, all
Claire,
right. Bye.
I want to know why you